yourself, well, sometimes you do have to do things yourself. Life doesn't always play fair, and the universe doesn't always help you out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. I wasn't always a bad kid, but I did often get into trouble. I was curious, and that often led me getting into trouble. And to keep me out of trouble, my parents let me draw and make things. I like to draw, and I've always liked to draw. And my grade school teachers noticed this and encouraged my parents to enroll me into all sorts of art classes. I continued this when I went to Davidson Fine Arts Magnet School through middle and high school. And drawing, painting, photography, collage, watercolor, acrylic paint, you name it, my hands were in it. And, but it wasn't until the summer of 1985 that I knew what I wanted to do with my life. My sister was a counselor at a Girl Scout camp, and she came home one summer with a cassette tape of Amy Grant. And I remember the tape cover. It was Amy Grant wearing a black and white leopard skin jacket, and behind her was hot pink type. So we went to the mall to get myself a copy. And I noticed there were 4 different versions of the album cover. Blew my mind. And that's when I knew that I wanted to be a graphic designer. So Roseanne Stutz was my art teacher in high school, well, through most of high school, and actually in middle school, since I was at Davidson through middle school and high school. Anyway, I digress. She encouraged me to enter this photograph that I had taken of a mannequin that I'd found in an alley in downtown Augusta. And none of us had any idea that that photograph would get me a scholarship to the Savannah College of Art and Design, and also gave that mannequin the nickname the $10,000 dummy. But after 4 extremely fun and fast years at SCAD, I graduated cum laude. I didn't even know cum laude was a thing. I wasn't going for it. I was just enjoying my classes and having a really good time learning. After college, I did some freelance graphic design work for some small record labels. CD was king. There were still cassettes. Cassettes were still a viable form of music. And there were no such thing as music download. So I was doing what I knew I wanted to do since 1985, designing album covers and doing graphic design. And actually, there were still music stores, and I worked at one. It was called Tape World. Totally dating myself there. But my first real break in graphic design came when I became an in-house graphic designer at the Savannah College of Art and Design. Real practical, hands-on experience. And I was being noticed, and I was winning awards. And agency on Hilton Head grabbed me and picked me up. And soon I was doing promotions for Smirnoff, Jose Cuervo, and Six Flags. And I'm totally name-dropping just to make a point. But this experience was allowing me to make even more award-winning work. With the awards, though, came long hours, a commute, and the pay was okay. So I started changing jobs based on pay. More pay, a better title, less commute, stuff like that. And this was a trend that actually carried on through the 2000s because I thought money was going to make me happy. But then a game changer occurred, well, sort of a game changer occurred in 1998. I met somebody who was sweet, somebody who was funny, someone who always cracked me up, someone who, really showed me what love was. And after a year and a half of long-distance dating and commuting back and forth to Atlanta from Savannah, which is a tedious 4-hour drive, I do not recommend it, Brian said, either I'm moving to Savannah or you're moving to Atlanta. And that actually was a no-brainer. I found a job, moved to Atlanta. So, and with that job change came another pay increase and a title. So, that moving to Atlanta, finding somebody, more money, I had to be happy. And after 6.5 years in Atlanta, the two of us had a dog, 2 cats, 5.5 acres, a house. There was always money in the bank, food in the cupboards. So this had to be the dream. Until early 2006, when Brian got ill, and after 10 weeks in the hospital, he passed away. May 19th broke my heart. It shattered it. I'd spend the next year in a fog of grief and depression. You know, I'd lost the drive and the ability to do even simple things like grocery shop, housework, doing laundry, doing dishes. Oh man, when I'd run out of clean socks, I'd just go buy more. I had so many dirty socks, it was not even funny. But anyway, the losing streak continued when I ended up losing the job, the house, the friends, the banking account got depleted, and I moved back to Augusta to live in my parents' house downtown with no fanfare and no purpose. I ended up taking an easy job at a print shop locally, and you know, no title, not really being respected, and but you know what? I was living. I was at least still alive. And then one day it hit me. I could be miserable, and hell, I was miserable, and I was really good at it at this point, or I could do something about it. Nobody else was going to help me out. If I was going to be happy, I had to do it myself. I've been dabbling with paints again and decided to go get a sketchbook. I'd use drawing and painting as therapy. I was trying to take the abstract feelings that I was feeling of grief and loss and depression and make those into something literal, something that you could see. And I would take that sketchbook, and every day after work, I would go sit in a coffee shop and I would draw. And I would draw, and I would draw. And sometimes I'd cry. I cried a lot when I drew, but that's when I knew I was getting it out. I was getting it out of me, and I was getting it out onto paper. I was figuring it out. And once again, drawing and painting were keeping me out of trouble. I was prolific, and there was a lot inside me, and I was getting it out. And sometimes I would paint some of the images that seemed to express exactly what I was feeling. And the ones that really jumped out and seemed to capture those feelings, these early works dealt with my loss, and others were connecting with it. It often surprised me at how, and actually it really surprised me at how people were connecting with the loss I'd experienced, because I'd never experienced something like that. And it never really occurred to me that other people had experienced loss too. And never having experienced something like this had really turned my world at a really weird angle and was showing me a perspective that I hadn't seen before, and it was uncomfortable. Death was helping me get my priorities in line. And often I would see people smile when they would look at something I did, because they were connecting. And it wasn't always a sad, because I always tried to see the happy and stuff, because there's a balance of happy, sad in everything. And there's always something funny about a lot of sad things. You just have to look to see it. But I noticed people were smiling, and I felt great pain and loss, but I was seeing that others were connecting and getting something from it. Mother Teresa said, "Every time you smile at someone, it's an action of love, a gift to that person, a beautiful thing." As a graphic designer, maybe I could take that message to a broader audience. You know, using my working knowledge of advertising, guerrilla marketing, and being able to put logos on everything, you know, maybe I could share that smile, because smiles are contagious. So I designed a yellow poster with a little robot head with a light bulb on top and the word happy. And people seem to connect to that. I just randomly put them up downtown, not letting anybody know what I was doing, just putting them up like a band poster or something. And then I noticed they were disappearing. And so I thought, well, I'll just make more. And so I put more up. And then I found out through social media and Facebook that people weren't taking them down and throwing them away. People were taking them down and taking them home with them. That's kind of really cool. So then I decided to make some buttons, you know, little yellow buttons with the same thing on it, and then just started passing those out. When I would have a show or something, I always passed out buttons, so it just made sense to share some happy. And then that was passing along the smile, the contagious smile. So then the next thought was, how do I get happy on a billboard? And it was a simple question, and I was like, oh, wait, I work in graphic design. I know people who own sign billboard companies. I'll just give them a call. So I called our local billboard guru, and asked him, and he said, and I told him, I said, I want to make a sign that just says happy, have the robot head, and that's it. And he said, since you're not really advertising anything per se, I can waive the rental fee for the month and you just pay the production cost. So I was able to afford out of my pocket 4 happy billboards for Christmas. And then when I told some people, other local artists about it, they raised more money and had 4 more put up. That was pretty cool. So, sorry, this is what gets me emotional, is that in this, I've noticed people want to help pay the happy forward. And even this year, I had people donate money that went straight to having stickers and buttons produced, that just to be passed out. And that's really cool. So this last year, when I was in college, I would see these stickers everywhere. Andre the Giant has a posse. And and they were just little stickers that you could buy at the skateboard shop or the tattoo parlor, and you could stick them on anything. And so they were all over Savannah. And so I thought, well, maybe the little happy robot has a posse. So I made these and just started handing them out to people, leaving them places. And then I would get text messages with happy sightings in different states. And then I would get emails with happy sightings in different countries. And so now these happy stickers are all over the world. So just sharing the smile. And actually we'll have some here too if y'all want some. But so in summary, because I digressed a little bit, your life, you may have a plan for it. It may not exactly turn out the way you plan. And life may knock you down. And it's okay to lay there for a little bit. But you can make the choice to be happy. I did, because happiness matters.